What just happened at Rakuten Japan, and why did no one see it coming? How did a single version of a vinyl quietly rise above all others, become the most expensive of its kind, and then vanish completely from one of Japan's most closely watched music retailers? And what does this sold-out moment really say about Kim Taehyung's power, not just as an artist, but as a cultural force? When fans first noticed the price tag next to Taehyung's Arirang V Velvet Red vinyl at Good and Music on Rakuten Japan, many paused. Some refreshed the page. Others took screenshots, half believing it was a temporary glitch. Among all available versions, there it was, standing unmistakably at the top, priced higher than any other variant, quietly asserting its value without a single promotional banner screaming for attention. And then, almost as suddenly as it had drawn collective curiosity, it disappeared. Sold out. Completely. No restock notice. No warning. Just absence. That absence, however, speaks louder than any marketing copy ever could, because this is not just about a vinyl selling out. This is about which vinyl sold out, where it sold out, how fast it happened, and why it matters far beyond a single product listing from the outside. It may look like another successful merchandise moment attached to a global superstar. But zoom in, and a far more layered story emerges. One involving cultural symbolism, collector psychology, pricing power, historical resonance, and a very specific shade of red that now carries far more meaning than anyone expected. The Arirang V Velvet Red vinyl was not positioned as the most accessible option. It was not the cheapest. It was not mass market friendly. In fact, its premium pricing at Good and Music immediately placed it in a different category altogether. This was not aimed at casual listeners who might add an album to their cart on impulse. This was aimed at those who understand exactly what they are buying and why, and that is precisely why its sellout carries so much weight. Good and Music on Rakuten Japan is not just another online shop. It is a platform where data speaks clearly and trends reveal themselves quickly. Japanese consumers, especially in music retail, are known for their discernment. Purchases are often deliberate, informed, and deeply tied to perceived artistic and cultural value. When the most expensive version of a vinyl sells out completely on such a platform, it is not an accident. It is a verdict. But what, exactly, were buyers voting for? At first glance, the name itself, Arirang V Velvet Red already hints at something layered. Arirang is not a casual word. It is a deeply symbolic title, carrying the weight of Korean history, emotion, longing, and resilience. For generations, Arirang has existed not just as a song, but as a cultural thread woven through moments of sorrow, hope, separation, and identity. To attach that word to a vinyl associated with Kim Taehyung is to invite interpretation, reflection, and reverence. Then there is Velvet Red. Not simply red, but velvet red. A color that suggests depth, richness, warmth, and intensity. Velvet is tactile even in name, evoking softness and luxury, while red has long been associated with passion, power, and emotional extremity. Together, they frame the vinyl not merely as a carrier of music, but as an object designed to be felt, contemplated, and displayed. Collectors understood this immediately. In online communities, whispers began almost as soon as the listing went live. Why is this version priced higher? What makes it different? Is it limited in pressing? Does the color carry symbolic meaning tied to Taehyung's artistic narrative? Is this a sleeper item that will disappear without warning? Those questions did not remain unanswered for long. The sellout itself became the answer. What makes this moment particularly striking is that the Arirang V Velvet Red vinyl was competing against other versions that were more affordable, more widely accessible, and arguably more safe purchases for the average buyer. And yet, when faced with choice, a significant number of fans and collectors gravitated toward the most expensive option. This challenges an old assumption in music merchandising, that lower prices guarantee higher volume. Taehyung's case once again proves that perceived value, narrative depth, and emotional connection can outweigh cost, in economic terms. This is pricing power. In cultural terms, it is trust. Buyers trusted that this version mattered more. They trusted that its significance would endure. They trusted that Taehyung's artistic decisions are never random, and history has taught them that such trust is rarely misplaced. Kim Taehyung's relationship with physical media has always been distinct. In an era dominated by streaming, where music is intangible and endlessly reproducible, his releases consistently restore weight to the physical object. Albums are not just containers for tracks. They are extensions of concept, mood, and identity. Vinyl, in particular, becomes a bridge between eras, between the modern global pop star and a time when music was held, flipped, admired, and preserved. Japan, with its long-standing vinyl culture and appreciation for meticulous production, is a crucial stage for this kind of release. Japanese collectors do not simply buy records to play them. They archive them, display them, and pass them down. For a vinyl to sell out there, especially the most expensive one, is to earn a place in a very selective lineage. As the Velvet Red version vanished from Good and Music's listings, reactions rippled outward. Screenshots circulated. Fans expressed disbelief. Some admitted they had hesitated, thinking they had time, only to return and find the item gone. Others felt a quiet satisfaction, having trusted their instinct and secured a copy before it disappeared. That mixture of regret and relief is a familiar emotional cocktail in Taehyung's release cycles. It is also part of what fuels the mythology around his work. Items do not simply sell, they leave behind stories of almost, of I should have, of remember when. And those stories, in turn, increase the aura surrounding the object itself. The fact that Taehyung V Velvet Red was the most expensive version only amplifies this effect. Scarcity combined with premium pricing creates a powerful narrative. This was not for everyone, and that exclusivity was respected rather than resisted. And many fandoms, high prices can provoke backlash. Accusations of gatekeeping or exploitation are not uncommon. But here, the reaction was different. The tone was not anger, but awe. Not resentment, but recognition. Fans understood that this version was not meant to be universal. It was meant to be special, and special things, by definition, do not last long on shelves. This moment also underscores something broader about Taehyung's career trajectory. His influence has reached a stage where it no longer relies solely on charts or streaming milestones to prove itself. Instead, it manifests in consumer behavior patterns that defy conventional logic. People do not just buy what is cheapest or most visible. They buy what feels meaningful. Meaning, in this case, is constructed through layers, cultural references, aesthetic choices, limited availability, and an artist whose reputation for intentionality precedes him. It is worth noting that Good and Music on Rakuten Japan serves a diverse customer base, not limited to BTS fans alone. The sellout of Velvet Red therefore signals interest that extends beyond fandom loyalty. Collectors, vinyl enthusiasts, and cultural consumers are also paying attention. They recognize when an item sits at the intersection of music and art, and Taehyung V Velvet Red sits firmly at that intersection. There is also an emotional undercurrent to this story that cannot be ignored. Taehyung, as a concept, resonates deeply with themes of longing and homeland. For Korean artists, engaging with Taehyung is often an act of reflection, sometimes even a vulnerability. When international fans purchase a vinyl bearing that name, they're not just buying music. They are participating, however indirectly, in a cultural exchange. That exchange carries weight. It invites listeners to slow down, to listen differently, to approach the music with respect rather than consumption. Perhaps that is why this version, despite its price, felt irresistible to so many. As the sold-out notice settled in, speculation naturally followed. Will there be a restock? Was this pressing intentionally limited? Will resale prices surge? These questions are already circulating, adding another layer to the vinyl's mystique. History suggests that once Taehyung-related items cross into the realm of scarcity, they rarely return quietly.